Okay, let's unpack this. The name Amelia Earhart, it conjures, images of daring, independence, and for so many of us, a lingering question mark. It's persisted for decades. Today we're taking a deep dive into the incredible life and the still unsolved disappearance of one of history's most iconic figures. A mystery that, well, it continues to captivate millions.
It's truly fascinating, isn't it? Just the sheer volume and the diversity of the material available on Earhart. It spans everything from, the formative experiences of her early life, her groundbreaking achievements in aviation,
Right.
to the meticulously documented details of her final fateful flight. And of course, the myriad theories that have popped up over the decades trying to explain what happened. Our mission today really is to sift through these rich sources, not just to recount what happened, but to truly understand why this particular mystery has retained such an extraordinary grip on our collective imagination.
Yeah, why this one? So we'll be navigating her remarkable journey. We'll trace her path from a spirited girl in Kansas to a global aviation icon who just shattered expectations. We'll dissect the intricate details of her ambitious round-the-world flight attempt, examine those pivotal moments leading up to her disappearance, and then, maybe the most intriguing part, we'll explore the different theories about her fate. Some seem plausible, others are deeply provocative, right up to the very recent tech developments still pushing the search.
The trailblazer Amelia Earhart's life and legacy.
So where did this extraordinary spirit of exploration, this independence, where did it begin for Amelia? The sources, they paint a really vivid picture of a childhood that was anything but conventional, especially for a young woman born July 24th, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas.
Definitely not typical for the time.
Wow. Right. She wasn't confined by the era's, restrictive gender norms. We read about her fiercely embracing independence, often found scaling trees, even hunting rats, activities that, well, sharply defied the proper conventions for girls back then. This really hints at a foundational, maybe even rebellious, adventurous spirit, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And that early adventurous spirit wasn't just like a personality quirk. It profoundly laid the groundwork for her groundbreaking career. If we connect this to the bigger picture, those early life experiences fostered a relentless, self-reliant drive. It would ultimately define her aviation career. Her interest in flight, it truly ignited during World War I. She was working as a nurse's aide in Toronto at the time, tending to wounded military pilots.
Yeah.
Hearing their stories, about aerial combat, the new power of flight, it captivated her. But it was that very first 10-minute plane ride in Long Beach, California, back in 1920. She described it as instantly knowing she had to fly. That single experience, that was the undeniable spark. It set her on a path that wouldn't just challenge societal norms, but redefine what was possible for women.
Wow.
She didn't just see aviation as like a hobby or a job. It seems she viewed it as a powerful vehicle for personal liberation and a tangible testament to the boundless capabilities of women.
It's clear she became so much more than just a pilot. She became a potent symbol of women's empowerment, right?
Yeah.
A figure who deliberately used her platform, her marriage to the publisher George P. Putnam in 1931. It's famously described as one of dual control, a phrase she actively promoted, didn't she?
Yeah.
Emphasizing her autonomy, that equal partnership.
Exactly. Dual control. She wanted that independence clear.
She was advocating for gender equality, not just in the exciting new field of aviation, but in broader society. Meticulously ensuring her personal choices aligned with her public message. Thinking about her broader impact beyond the flights. What, in your view, was the most profound aspect of her legacy regarding women's empowerment, especially for you, our listener, today?
That's a crucial question, I think, because she didn't just passively inspire. She actively worked to open doors for other women. She didn't just fly. She meticulously cultivated her public image. She understood the power of perception, using her fame as a symbol of female capability and independence.
Oh, it was strategic.
Very much so. Her efforts went way beyond the cockpit. She was a co-founder of the 99s. That's an international organization specifically for female pilots. It served as a vital support network, a powerful platform for collective advocacy when women pilots were still rare and often, frankly, marginalized. She also leveraged her fame by serving as aviation editor for Cosmopolitan magazine. Think about that platform, using her voice to demystify aviation, explain its mechanics, make it more accessible, more appealing to a wider female audience.
That's fascinating. Cosmopolitan.
Right. And furthermore, her work at Purdue University as a career consultant for women, that further cemented her status as a feminist icon. It wasn't merely about breaking altitude records or speed records. It was about strategically dismantling social barriers, demonstrating that women could excel in fields traditionally dominated by men, fundamentally challenging those preconceived notions of what a woman's role could be. That strategic leveraging of her fame, her proactive efforts to build pathways for others, that's a truly powerful and lasting insight into her legacy.
Soaring to new heights aviation achievements.
Building on that extraordinary spirit and, her foundational work in advocacy, she quickly became an undeniable force in the skies. It wasn't just talk. From those early inspirations, aviation became her life's calling. After lessons from Netta Snook, another pioneering female aviator.
A key figure early on.
Right. She earned her pilot's license in 1923. Became only the 16th woman in the U.S. to do so. That's a significant achievement when aviation was still in its dangerous infancy. Flying was truly a frontier endeavor back then. And she even set an impressive women's altitude record for 10,000 feet way back in 1922, showcasing her skill and daring early on. But it was 1928 that really launched her into global fame, wasn't it?
Indeed. That year marked her major breakthrough. She crossed the Atlantic as a passenger aboard the Friendship that was a 3-engine Fokker FVII B-3 metal monoplane. Now, while she wasn't piloting the aircraft on that specific journey...
Right, she was a passenger.
Correct. But the feat itself made her the first woman to cross the Atlantic by air. This was the monumental moment. It captured worldwide attention, catapulted her into celebrity status, earned her global acclaim, a ticker tape parade in New York City. I mean, that's usually reserved for war heroes or huge athletic triumphs.
Big deal.
And that catchy, if maybe a bit reductive, nickname Lady Lindy. Because people thought she resembled Charles Lindbergh, who'd done his solo flight just the year before. However, it's really worth noting, and the sources emphasize this, she was keenly determined to establish her own identity, to move beyond just being compared to a male aviator. She apparently chafed at the Lady Lindy moniker, wanted recognition for her own achievements.
That distinction is important. You can see why. And then, just 4 years after that passenger flight, she showed everyone her true prowess, her audacious spirit. In 1932, she achieved what many considered impossible for anyone at the time, let alone a woman, a solo transatlantic flight. Apparently battling ice on her wings, exhaust flames threatening the cockpit. She flew from Harbour Grace, Newfoundland to a cow pasture of all places in Culmore, Northern Ireland. Took about 15 hours.
Incredible journey.
She became not only the first woman to do it, but only the second person overall after Lindbergh to do it nonstop. That's just a monumental achievement by any measure. What kind of recognition did she get for that?
Oh, the recognition was huge. For this truly extraordinary accomplishment fraught with peril, requiring immense skill and fortitude, she received an impressive array of accolades from multiple nations, which really highlights the global impact. The U.S. Congress awarded her the Distinguished Flying Cross. That's one of the highest military honors for aviation, very rare for a civilian. Wow. France bestowed upon her the Cross of Knight of the Legion of Honor, recognizing her bravery, her contribution to advancing aviation. And the National Geographic Society, which had followed her career closely, awarded her their prestigious gold medal. This wasn't just a personal victory for Earhart. It was a powerful testament to human endurance, a profound message about women's capabilities that just reverberated worldwide, and a global demonstration of the advancements and immense potential of aviation tech. It cemented her place, not just as a skilled pilot, but as a groundbreaking figure on the world stage, inspired countless people.
And she just didn't stop there, did she? She consistently pushed the boundaries. In 1935, she became the first person, not just woman, person to fly solo from Honolulu, Hawaii to Oakland, California. That's a challenging trans-Pacific flight, over 2,400 miles, making her the first person to fly solo across both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans.
An incredible double achievement.
Later that same year, she flew solo from Los Angeles to Mexico City, and then from Mexico City to Newark, New Jersey, just continuously setting new speed and distance records in various aircraft. Her trusted companion for many of those record flights was the Lockheed Vega, right? That high-performance monoplane known for its speed.
That's the one iconic aircraft for her.
She also piloted the Pitcairn Autogiro, an early type of rotary wing aircraft, showing her versatility across different experimental aircraft, her willingness to embrace new tech. And beyond her personal flights, she was deeply involved in promoting commercial air travel. Roles at transcontinental air transport, advising on routes, passenger experience, helping shape the industry, make air travel more accessible.
She saw the bigger picture for aviation.
Definitely. And showing her talent as a communicator, too. She offered bestsellers like 20H's 40 Minutes in 1928, chronicling that transatlantic passenger flight. And the fun of it, in 1932, sharing her adventures, philosophy, practical advice, she truly shaped not just the physical landscape of aviation, but also influenced public perception of air travel and women's roles within it.
The ill-fated journey, the 1937 world flight attempt.
Okay, so by 1937, she'd conquered the Atlantic, she'd conquered the Pacific. Earhart sets her sights on what many considered the ultimate challenge in aviation, circumnavigating the globe. This was a staggering 29,000-mile equatorial route, an endeavor that would push the limits of both human endurance and, well, aeronautical technology at the time. What was the driving goal here, beyond just setting another record? And what were the logistical complexities like? This seems audacious even today.
It was absolutely audacious. This was her attempt to etch her name even further into history, becoming the first woman to achieve this unprecedented feat. But it was more than just a record. Sources indicate it was conceived partly as a scientific expedition as well, an incredibly ambitious undertaking needing significant resources, meticulous planning, state-of-the-art equipment.
Right.
The journey was partly funded by Purdue University, where she'd been hired as a career consultant and visiting faculty member. Their investment really speaks volumes about the widespread support and belief in her mission. They saw her plane as a flying laboratory.
A flying laboratory.
Exactly. She piloted a customized Lockheed Model 10E Electra. This was a cutting-edge twin-engine monoplane, designed for speed, long-range flight, quite the technological marvel for its era. It was specifically equipped with advanced navigation tools, including a radio direction finder, long-range fuel tanks, much more than just a passenger plane. And she wasn't alone in this massive undertaking. Her navigator was Fred Noonan, highly experienced, respected former Pan American Airways expert. His skills in celestial navigation, dead reckoning, absolutely crucial for such a long, complex flight, especially over vast, uncharted oceans with no landmarks.
Makes sense. You'd need the best. The journey officially began May 20th, 1937, from Oakland, California, heading eastward initially. But the sources reveal there was an initial eastward attempt back in March that didn't go as planned, right? It sounds like there was a significant, maybe emotionally taxing setback before the final fateful journey even started.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. That initial eastward attempt in March 37 began from Honolulu, Hawaii. But it failed dramatically. There was a takeoff crash at Luke Field. During the takeoff roll, the plane ground looped, meaning it swerved violently, the wing hit the ground, crumpled, landing gear collapsed.
Oh, wow. Serious damage.
Substantial damage to the Electra. Required extensive repairs, took weeks to complete. This wasn't just a technical setback, it was a significant emotional and financial blow. It forced a complete reevaluation of their plans, including the route itself. After the repairs, they decided on a revised westward route that began June 1st from Miami, Florida. This revised route took them across vast distances, South America, then Africa, on to India, navigated through Southeast Asia, eventually reaching Lae, New Guinea by June 29th. By that point, they'd already completed an astonishing 22,000 miles of their journey, successfully traversing continents, making incredible progress, showed their resilience, their commitment, despite that near-catastrophic setback earlier.
Okay, so they reached Lae. The final leg from Lae, New Guinea, though, that was by far the most perilous. A daunting 2,556-mile flight over open ocean to tiny Howland Island in the Central Pacific, just for refueling. This island is barely 2 miles long, half a mile wide, essentially a speck in the vastness of the Pacific. And they had crucial support waiting there, didn't they? A vital lifeline in that huge, expansive ocean.
Precisely. To help them hit such an incredibly small target, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was strategically stationed just off Howland Island. Its primary mission, provide critical radio support and homing signals. The plan was for the Itasca to transmit a continuous radio beacon, basically an auditory lighthouse, to guide them in once they were close enough.
Okay, that sounds like a solid plan.
It was designed to be their crucial lifeline in the almost unimaginable vastness of the Pacific, where precise navigation was absolutely paramount. So given this meticulous planning, the presence of such dedicated support,
Yeah.
it really begs the question, how could this crucial leg of the journey go so disastrously wrong? What unforeseen challenges or compounding errors led to them just vanishing?
The Vanishing Act. The disappearance on July 2, 1937.
So with the Itasca waiting, Earhart and Noonan depart Lae. It's 10 a.m. local time, July 2nd. They're embarking on what they expect to be an 18 to 20-hour flight. That's a significant stretch over open water, especially after already covering so much ground. What were the conditions like as they started this critical leg? And what immediate challenges did they begin to face?
Well, the conditions were far from ideal. That set a challenging stage right from the start. The weather was overcast, scattered rain showers that would naturally reduce visibility, made both visual navigation and celestial navigation exceedingly difficult.
Right, clouds would be a huge problem.
Huge. Compounding this, the Electra was heavily laden, approximately 1,100 gallons of fuel. Necessary for the distance, but it made the aircraft less agile, reduced its cruising altitude. More critically, radio communications were intermittent. Problematic. Seems there were equipment issues aboard the Electra. Earhart's radio used a non-standard frequency, which significantly complicated the direction-finding attempts by the Itasca. Those attempts, ultimately, they were unsuccessful, left them without that reliable radio beacon to guide them.
So the lifeline wasn't really working.
Exactly. The Itasca tried to establish two-way communication, but often only received garbled or very weak signals back from the Electra. It was frustrating for everyone involved.
And without clear radio guidance, Fred Noonan's celestial navigation, relying on observing stars, the sun, the moon to fix their position, that must have been incredibly difficult with that persisting cloud cover you mentioned. That would have compounded their issues even further, making precise navigation almost an impossible task, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's exactly right. Navigating by the stars under persistently cloudy conditions in the vast, featureless Pacific, it's a monumental task, even for an expert navigator like Fred Noonan, who was really renowned for his skill in this. Without clear views of celestial bodies, his primary method of position fixing was severely hampered, forced him to rely more heavily on dead reckoning calculating position based on previous position, course, speed, time elapsed.
Which can accumulate errors.
Precisely. It accumulates errors over long distances. This significantly increased the margin for error, pushing them further into uncertainty as they approached that tiny speck of Howland Island. It created a situation where even minor miscalculations, slight deviations from course, could have immense, potentially fatal consequences in such an unforgiving environment. The pressure must have been just immense.
Amidst all these mounting difficulties, the last confirmed transmission from Earhart came around 8:43 a.m. Howland time, she reported. We are on the line 157337. We're running on line north and south. What does that actually mean for our listener in practical terms? And what other crucial information did she convey in that final chilling message?
Okay, so that phrase, on the line 157337, referred to a specific navigational tool. It's called a sun line of position. It meant they'd taken a sun sighting. When calculated, it indicated they were flying along a precise line on the Earth's surface. If their calculations were correct, Howland Island should have been located somewhere on that line. It was their last precise indication of location relative to the target.
Okay, so they thought they were close, or at least on the right track.
Exactly. But in that very same transmission, Earhart also reported crucial and alarming details. She stated she had critically low fuel and, most importantly, an inability to see the island or distinctly hear the Itasca's homing signal. Contact was lost after that. The prevailing expert belief, based on analyzing all the available data, the cumulative challenges, it's that they likely missed Howland by only a very small margin, maybe 5 to 10 miles, due to a combination of navigation errors.
Just miles away.
Possibly. And these errors might have been exacerbated by a miscalculation related to crossing the international dateline. This is subtle, but critical. Crossing the dateline means you effectively lose or gain a day. If that time shift wasn't perfectly accounted for in their meticulous celestial calculations, which rely precisely on Greenwich Mean Time, it could have subtly skewed their perceived position by miles. A fatal error for hitting such a tiny target.
Wow, something seemingly small could have huge consequences.
Absolutely. Ultimately, with critically low fuel, no visual, no reliable radio contact with Howland, they are believed to have run out of fuel and ditched into the vast Pacific Ocean.
The search and its aftermath.
The sudden, devastating disappearance of Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan. It triggered an immediate and, frankly, unprecedented response. This was a massive undertaking, unlike anything seen before in terms of scale, resources. What kind of search efforts were launched right after they lost contact?
This led to what became the largest and most expensive search in U.S. history up to that point. The scale is truly remarkable. It cost an astonishing $4 million back then. If you adjust for inflation, compare economic power today, that's roughly $87 million.
$87 million.
An immense effort, authorized directly by President Franklin D. Roosevelt himself. That underscores the profound national, international significance of her disappearance. The search involved a formidable naval fleet. The Coast Guard cutter Itasca, which had been waiting, was quickly joined with the battleship USS Colorado, the aircraft carrier USS Lexington, which alone carried 63 aircraft.
An aircraft carrier.
Yes. And 9 other ships. This formidable force, including submarines, support vessels, meticulously covered an immense 250,000 square miles of ocean, diligently searching for any sign of the Electra or its occupants across that vast, unforgiving expanse of the Pacific.
Despite such a monumental undertaking, all those resources, military might, the best available tech of the time deployed, what was the ultimate result of this extensive search?
Well, despite the unprecedented scale and cost, the outcome was frustratingly inconclusive and heartbreaking. Despite extensive aerial reconnaissance, naval searches scanning countless islands, vast ocean expanses, no wreckage, no telltale oil slicks, and tragically, no survivors were ever found. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing concrete. The official U.S. Navy search effort, which continued for over 2 weeks with diminishing hope, finally ended on July 19, 1937. Just a complete lack of any actionable leads or new evidence. Earhart's husband, George P. Putnam, refused to give up hope. Driven by immense personal grief, he even funded private searches of nearby islands, particularly in the remote Phoenix Islands group, for several more months. But these also yielded nothing. With no trace found, the passage of time making survival impossible, Amelia Earhart was officially declared dead in absentia on January 5, 1939. This stark absence of evidence, the fact that absolutely nothing was ever found despite such a monumental effort, that's precisely what has fueled so much of the ongoing speculation. And the myriad theories we need to talk about next. The void of concrete answers became a powerful magnet for curiosity and conjecture.
Unpacking the theories, what happened?
Right. That profound lack of definitive answers has, as you said, fueled decades of intense speculation, given rise to numerous theories about Amelia Earhart's fate. Some seem highly plausible based on the limited data we have. Others, well, they border on the conspiratorial, even the fantastical. Let's unpack some of the most prominent ones that have captivated the public imagination for generations. Try to make sense of this enduring mystery.
Indeed. And critical thinking is absolutely essential here when we look at these theories. Each one tries to fill that void left by the lack of definitive answers, often presenting compelling but sometimes incomplete evidence. We need to look beyond the sensational headlines, consider the key arguments, the specific supporting evidence proponents cite, and importantly, the criticisms leveled against each theory. That lets us understand the nuances of this enduring mystery and why it remains so stubbornly unsolved.
Okay, let's start with what's widely considered the most straightforward explanation, the one most accepted by the U.S. government and many aviation experts. The crash and sink theory. What does it propose? What's the core reasoning, the evidence behind it?
This theory posits the simplest and, for many, the most logical explanation. The Electra simply ran out of fuel after missing Howland Island and subsequently ditched into the vast, deep Pacific Ocean, sinking relatively rapidly. The main evidence supporting this comes from the very real context of that final flight. The failed navigation attempts, compounded by Earhart's critical low-fuel reports in her last transmission, it strongly suggests they were operating on the absolute limits of their range. Virtually no room for error.
If they missed Howland, there was nowhere else.
Exactly. Nowhere else to go. The most compelling evidence for this theory is perhaps the continued absence of any wreckage found on land or any islands. Despite that massive initial search and decades of subsequent expeditions, organizations like Nauticos, specialists in deep-sea recovery using advanced sonar tech, conducted extensive searches near Howland in 2002, 2006, 2017. Meticulously scanned vast areas of the ocean floor, thousands of square miles, without success. This reinforces the idea that if the plane went down there, it either disintegrated on impact or sank into depths where recovery is incredibly difficult, maybe lying in trenches over 16,000 feet deep.
But there are criticisms.
Oh yes. The criticism often leveled points to the sheer vastness of the ocean. Finding debris from a crash at sea, even with modern tech, is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's incredibly difficult. Additionally, some argue the plane's aluminum construction would rapidly corrode in salt water, especially at extreme depths and pressures. That would hinder detection even if sonar could pick up something. So absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence of absence in this case.
Okay, so that's crash and sink. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Perhaps the most famous, persistently compelling alternative theory. The International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, TIGR. They advocate for the castaway on Nikumoro, or Gardner Island theory. This one really sparks the imagination, offers a more dramatic, human story. What's their argument? What's this fascinating collection of evidence they present?
TIGR suggests a far more dramatic scenario. That Earhart and Noonan didn't just sink, but instead managed to land their Electra on the flat, exposed coral reef surrounding Nikomoro. That's an uninhabited atoll about 350 miles southeast of Howland. Presumably, they landed at low tide.
A crash landing, but survivable.
Potentially. Their evidence is a fascinating collection of circumstantial findings gathered over decades of expeditions to this remote island. They point to various artifacts from the 1930s found there, which they believe are consistent with Earhart's presence. These include things like a woman's shoe heel, fragments of plexiglass visually matched to the specific type and thickness of a Lockheed Electra windshield.
Really specific.
Yes, a cosmetics jar, an American-manufactured pocket knife. Perhaps most compellingly, there were bones found on Nikomoro back in 1940 by British colonial officers. Now, initial forensic analysis was rudimentary. Later, 2018 DNA tests on the highly degraded bones were inconclusive, but some contemporary and later analyses suggested the bones could belong to a female of Earhart's general stature and ethnic origin.
Good along, but not definitive.
Not definitive, no. Additionally, there were civilian reports and amateur radio operators hearing distress calls on various bands for several days after her disappearance, potentially emanating from Nikomoro, lending credence to the idea they survived the landing were trying to signal for help.
That would be incredible if true.
But the main criticism, and it's significant, is that despite numerous expeditions to the island, including by renowned oceanographer Robert Ballard in his extensive 2019 search, no actual substantial plane wreckage has ever been definitively found, not on or near the island. Tigger anticipates this. They hypothesize the aircraft, after landing on the reef, was eventually swept into deeper water by waves and currents, accounting for its absence on the island itself, leaving only smaller, lighter debris behind. It's a theory offering hope for survival, which is why it resonates so strongly.
Okay, another theory, maybe more conspiratorial, definitely more dramatic. The Japanese capture theory. This has persisted for decades, fueled by Cold War suspicions, dramatic narratives. What's the gist of this one? What story does it weave?
This theory claims Earhart and Noonan didn't crash at all. Instead, they were captured by Japanese forces in the Marshall Islands, possibly seen as spies for the U.S. government given the rising tensions before World War II. The narrative suggests they were either executed or died in custody, perhaps on Saipan, which was then a Japanese-controlled island.
That's a dark theory.
It is. It gained significant traction, especially after a 2017 photo emerged, purported to show Earhart and Noonan among people in Japanese custody. However, that specific photo was later definitively debunked by experts. It was actually from 1935, 2 years before the disappearance, making it totally irrelevant to her 1937 flight.
So that key piece of evidence fell apart.
Completely. The theory largely relies on a few anecdotal eyewitness accounts, islanders claiming, decades later, they saw them in Japanese custody. But it critically lacks any hard, verifiable evidence. The U.S. Navy officially dismissed this theory after their own investigations. Historians consistently note there are no Japanese records whatsoever, no military logs, prison rosters, official reports to support such a capture or their presence in the Marshalls. Plus, there are significant timeline inconsistencies with the flight path, makes it highly improbable they deviate so far northwest to reach Japanese territory given fuel limits and their intended destination.
And what about that Irene Bolam story?
Yes. Variations emerged, like the outlandish claim Earhart survived, returned to the U.S. under a new identity as Irene Bolam, a New Jersey banker. This was emphatically debunked by Bolam herself. She even filed a lawsuit to stop people perpetuating this false, often harassing claim.
Okay, so that one seems pretty shaky. And then, of course, there are what we might just call other conspiracy theories. They seem to inevitably pop up around mysteries like this, feeding on the lack of answers. What do those entail? How are they generally received?
These are generally far less substantiated ideas, often dismissed by experts due to a profound lack of empirical support, tendency to rely on wild speculation. They really run the gamut. Some suggest Earhart deliberately faked her death to escape celebrity pressure, live a new private life. Others propose she was marooned on some entirely different, even more obscure island than Nikomoro never found.
The Tokyo Rose one.
Right. A more dramatic one suggests she somehow survived, secretly served as a Tokyo Rose broadcaster for the Japanese during WWII. Absolutely no credible backing, thoroughly disproven. Some theories even propose she was on a highly secret espionage mission for President Roosevelt. Her disappearance either part of a covert up gone wrong or a deliberate cover-up. These often stem from misinterpreting vague, incomplete radio logs, ambiguous artifacts explainable by other means, or simply a desire to fill the informational vacuum with sensational, Hollywood-esque narratives. but they largely lack compelling or verifiable evidence, not considered serious or plausible explanations by aviation historians or scientific researchers. They speak more to our fascination with enigma than to fact.
The ongoing quest, recent developments, and future hopes.
So here we are, August 15th, 2025. The mystery of Amelia Earhart's disappearance persists, but advancements in technology, especially deep-sea exploration, continuously keep hope alive. Seems there's always a new expedition or discovery sparking headlines. What's been happening on the search front most recently, keeping this decades-old mystery in the news?
The persistence is truly remarkable. It reflects humanity's unwavering desire for answers. In January 2024, there was a significant flurry of excitement. Deep Sea Vision, DSV, an exploration company, announced what looked like a major breakthrough. They presented a sonar image, showed a large, plane-shaped object resting about 16,000 feet underwater, located roughly 100 miles west of Howland Island.
16,000 feet, that's incredibly deep.
Incredibly deep. This image was captured during a previous 5,200 square mile scan of the ocean floor using an AUV, an autonomous underwater vehicle. Basically a sophisticated robotic sub that maps the seabed with high-res sonar. The team, led by former U.S. Air Force intelligence officer Tony Romeo, believed the object's dimensions, its distinctive twin-tail design, strongly matched Earhart's Lockheed Electra. Sparked renewed hope, intense public interest. Maybe this was it.
I remember that excitement. But what happened?
Well, by November 2024, a follow-up investigation, more detailed analysis, unfortunately confirmed the object was actually a natural geological formation. Specifically, a large rock outcropping. It was disappointing, obviously, but not deterring for the searchers. Highlights that constant cycle of hope and disappointment in these kinds of quests.
So despite that setback, the dedication to finding answers clearly hasn't waned. The lure of this mystery is just too strong. What else is happening in 2025 to keep the quest going? Different groups pursuing different leads.
Indeed. The persistence is amazing. Multiple teams continuing efforts, often guided by different theories. In July 2025, for instance, a specific mission targeted Nikumaru again, aligning with that castaway theory, demonstrates that different theoretical frameworks still drive targeted search efforts. This expedition aimed to re-examine specific areas on and around the island where artifacts were found, maybe with new imaging tech.
So Tigger's theory is still driving searches?
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Nauticos, the group involved in earlier deep-sea sonar searches near Howland, they continue their meticulous work. They're even going as far as replicating Earhart's original 1937 radio transmissions, trying to understand potential signal paths, anomalies that might lead to new insights into her exact location when she sent those last messages.
Fascinating approach.
And Tiguri's investigations are also ongoing. They remain steadfast in their Nikumaru theory, continue to seek supporting evidence, perhaps focusing on underwater surveys at the Reef's edge now. And on a broader cultural level, events like the annual Amelia Earhart Festival in Atchison, her birthplace, they continue to be vibrant forums for discussing these conflicting theories. Keeps the public engaged, keeps her memory, her mission, vibrantly alive.
DSV, despite the rock formation setback, they're still very much at it. Scanned over 7,700 square miles by late 2024, that's an immense area of ocean floor. What does the sheer persistence, the diversity of efforts, tell us about our enduring fascination with Amelia Earhart and the role of technology in solving these cold cases?
It really highlights humanity's enduring fascination with unsolved enigmas, particularly those involving groundbreaking figures like Earhart, such dramatic unresolved disappearances. But beyond the inherent mystery, it also speaks volumes about the increasing capability, the sophistication of modern technology. DSV, for example, is confident that advanced AUVs, with their ever-improving sonar and imaging, combined with sophisticated data processing, maybe AI, they will eventually solve the puzzle. They believe it's no longer if, but when and how. This persistent quest, driven by private citizens, nonprofits, advanced scientific teams, it underscores that while her fate remains elusive, the very act of searching, of continuously applying new tech, fresh analytical perspectives, it reflects our continuous drive for discovery and understanding as a profound testament to the power of human curiosity, our unwavering desire for closure, pushing the boundaries of exploration and historical investigation.
So what does this all mean for us today? Amelia Earhart's legacy, it endures far beyond the mystery of her disappearance. She continues to inspire generations, not just through her pioneering flights, but also through honors like the Amelia Earhart Fellowship that supports women in aerospace engineering, space science, ensuring her spirit of breaking barriers lives on. Her unwavering spirit of independence, her immense courage, her relentless pursuit of the unknown, that's what truly makes her iconic. You have to wonder, What other unsolvable mysteries are out there? Maybe lying deep beneath the waves, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the next technological leap, or perhaps the next inspired mind to finally uncover the truth.
That raises an important question for you, our listener. Beyond the fascinating technical details of her flight, the intriguing theories we've explored, what aspect of Amelia Earhart's remarkable story resonates most deeply with you? And why do some mysteries, like hers, continue to hold such a powerful, captivating grip on our collective imagination, even after all these decades? What is it about the unknown that keeps pulling us back?